First Contact Crisis. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Earth Embassy on Nexus Station, watching the swirling lights of hundreds of alien ships moving through the void. After 15 years of humanity's presence in the galactic community, this view still took her breath away. But today, those same lights carried a hint of menace. "Commander, the Council is ready," announced her AI assistant, Araya. Sarah straightened her midnight blue diplomatic uniform and touched the silver pin that marked her as Earth's military attaché. Status update on the hegemony fleet movements. The Arxer battle groups have maintained their positions at the edge of the Ta-CD system. 17 capital ships, Commander. All weapons hot. She allowed herself a grim smile. The Arxer hegemony, the dominant military power in the galaxy for the last millennium, wasn't used to being challenged. Humanity's recent breakthrough in quantum field manipulation had changed everything. What they called simple physics had rendered the hegemony's feared plasma cannons nearly useless. The council chamber loomed before her, its crystalline dome stretching hundreds of meters overhead. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations filled the tiered seats, their bodies ranging from humanoid to utterly alien. The air hummed with translator fields and environment generators. High Chancellor Vextra, an imposing figure with iridescent scales and 6 eyes, focused all of them on Sarah as she took her place at the speaker's podium. "The Council recognizes Commander Chen of Earth. You may address the allegations." Sarah activated her holographic display. "Honorable Council, I stand before you today because of fear. Not humanity's fear, yours." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. For the past month, the Arxer hegemony has positioned war fleets near every major human settlement. They claim we're developing illegal weapons technology. The truth is simpler. We've developed better shields. The Arxer representative, General Cax, rose from his seat. "Better shields that completely neutralize our most powerful weapons. This upstart species threatens the stability of the galaxy. By defending ourselves," Sarah countered. "Humanity has not expanded beyond its agreed-upon territories. We've not threatened anyone. We simply refuse to remain vulnerable." She gestured to her display, showing recordings from recent incidents. Arxer ships testing Earth's defenses, probing for weaknesses. "The hegemony calls us aggressive while surrounding our worlds with weapons charge. They demand we share our technology while threatening war if we don't comply. I ask the Council, who are the real aggressors here?" A new voice joined the debate. Ambassador Lyra of the Solari Confederation, her crystalline form catching the light. "The human speaks truth. Our scientists have analyzed their quantum field technology. It is purely defensive in nature. Defensive technology that renders our weapons useless." Cax slammed a clawed hand on his podium. "It disrupts the balance of power." "A balance built on fear," Sarah responded calmly. "Humanity rejects the notion that peace can only exist when some civilizations remain vulnerable to others. We believe true stability comes from mutual respect and the ability of all species to defend themselves." The chamber erupted in debate. Younger species, those who had long chafed under hegemony dominance, voiced support for Earth. Older powers aligned with the Arxer, demanding sanctions. High Chancellor Vextra raised all 4 arms for silence. "The Council must vote. The motion before us: should humanity's quantum field technology be classified as a threat to galactic peace, requiring immediate surrender of all research and prototypes to Council control." Sarah's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "Before you vote, consider this. Earth will not comply with any such demand. We will not surrender our right to self-defense. If the Council declares our shields illegal, you will force us to choose between submission and resistance. Choose wisely." The voting commenced. Holographic tallies appeared above the chamber. Sarah watched the numbers climb, her face betraying nothing. When the final count appeared, she allowed herself to breathe again. The motion had failed. Barely. "The Council has spoken," Vextra announced. "Earth may retain its defensive technology, but must accept increased monitoring of its military activities. As Sarah left the chamber, Ambassador Lyra fell into step beside her. "You've made powerful enemies today, Commander. And powerful friends, I hope," Sarah replied. "Indeed. The galaxy is changing, Commander Chen. The old powers fear it, but others." Lyra's crystalline form sparkled. "Others see opportunity. Humanity has shown there is another way. That will not be forgotten." Back in her office, Sarah watched the Arxer ships slowly withdraw from their threatening positions. She knew this wasn't over. It was just the beginning. Humanity had challenged the fundamental power structure of the galaxy simply by refusing to be vulnerable. "RIA, send a message to Earth Command," she said. "Tell them to maintain alert status. The hegemony won't accept this quietly." "They fear us now," RIA observed. "No," Sarah corrected. "They fear change. But change is coming, whether they're ready or not. Humanity will help build a galaxy where strength doesn't mean domination, and peace doesn't require submission." The stars twinkled beyond her window, silent witnesses to history in the making. Humanity had passed its first major test in galactic politics, not through force, but through the courage to stand firm for their principles. The real challenge would be what came next. The Titan's response. Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the EDS Hyperion, Earth's most advanced warship, watching her tactical display with growing concern. The massive vessel, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length, cruised silently through the Epsilon Eridani system on what was supposed to be a routine patrol. "Multiple quantum wake signatures detected," announced Lieutenant James Wong from his sensor station. "Arxer signatures, Captain. They're trying to mask their approach, but there's too many of them." Maya's dark eyes narrowed. The Hyperion's quantum sensors, technology that even most of Earth's allies didn't know existed, could detect ships moving through subspace long before conventional systems. Numbers: 27 vessels emerging from quantum space. Heavy combat configuration. James's fingers danced across his console. "They're positioning to cut off our retreat vectors." Maya allowed herself a small smile. 3 weeks after humanity's diplomatic victory in the Council, the Arxer were making their move. Just as predicted. Battle stations. Initiate Phantom Protocol. Red alert klaxons sounded throughout the massive ship as nearly 1,000 crew members rushed to their combat positions. The Hyperion's quantum shields hummed to life, creating a protective bubble of altered space-time around the vessel. "Message from the Arxer flagship," reported Communications Officer Zara Chen. "They're ordering us to power down and prepare for inspection. They claim we're violating the Council's monitoring protocols." "In our own system." Maya shook her head. "Send no response. Execute Phantom Protocol on my mark." The Arxer ships emerged from quantum space in a perfect sphere around the Hyperion, their sleek predatory forms bristling with weapons. Their tactical formation was flawless, designed to prevent any escape through conventional space or quantum jumps. "They're charging weapons," James reported. "Plasma cannons and quantum disruptors." "Let them fire first," Maya ordered. "Let's show them why you don't corner a human ship." The space around the Hyperion erupted in a dazzling display of energy as 27 Arxer warships opened fire simultaneously. Their plasma beams and quantum disruptors were designed to overwhelm any known shield technology. But the Hyperion didn't just have shields. "Phantom Protocol engaged," announced the ship's AI, Atlas. The massive human vessel seemed to flicker and blur, the enemy fire passing harmlessly through its position, as if the ship wasn't fully there. By the void, an Arxer transmission cut through their comm channels. "How are they doing this?" Maya's smile widened. The Phantom Protocol was humanity's latest breakthrough. The ability to partially phase their ships out of normal spacetime, making them virtually untouchable. It was incredibly energy-intensive and couldn't be maintained for long, but it didn't need to be. "Phase shift complete," Atlas reported. "We are now operating in quantum superposition." "Launch Ghostmaker drones," Maya ordered. Pattern Delta. From the Hyperion's launch bays, dozens of small, unmanned vessels emerged. Unlike the massive warship, these drones were fully solid and carrying very special packages. The Arxer are adjusting formation, James reported. They're trying to target the drones. Too late, Maya said softly. The Ghostmaker drones detonated in carefully calculated positions around the Arxer fleet, but instead of explosions, they released waves of quantum-entangled particles. The Arxer ships suddenly found themselves trapped in localized fields of altered spacetime, their quantum drives unable to function. Enemy fleet is immobilized, James announced, a note of pride in his voice. Their weapons are still online, but they can't maneuver or jump. Maya opened a channel to all ships. Attention Arxer vessels. Your quantum drives have been temporarily disabled. You are currently trapped in localized quantum fields. Any attempt to force your way out will result in catastrophic drive failure. The response was immediate and furious. This is Admiral Kovacs of the Hegemony. You dare attack. We dare defend ourselves. Maya cut him off. You entered our sovereign space with weapons charged and attempted to ambush an Earth vessel. Under galactic law, we are within our rights to destroy every ship in your fleet. She paused, letting that sink in. But unlike you, we don't believe strength requires destruction. She nodded to Zara, who transmitted a data packet to the Arxer fleet. We're sending you the specifications for safely dissolving the quantum fields around your ships. In approximately 6 hours, you'll be able to activate your drives and return home. You expect us to believe you'll just let us leave? Kovacs demanded. Believe what you want, Admiral. But remember this, we could have destroyed you. Instead, we chose to show mercy. Consider that when you report back to your superiors. The next 6 hours were tense, but ultimately anticlimactic. One by one, the Arxer ships carefully followed the provided procedures and freed themselves from the quantum traps. They formed up and departed the system, their pride wounded but their ships intact. As Maya watched them leave, her first officer, Commander David Chen, approached her chair. They'll be back, Captain, and next time they'll be ready for the Phantom Protocol. Good, Maya replied. Let them prepare for today's tactics. Tomorrow's will be different. She stood and stretched, finally allowing herself to feel the tension of the past few hours. Humanity didn't get to the stars by staying predictable, Commander. The Arxer think in terms of overwhelming force. We think in terms of endless possibilities. Message from Earth Command, Zara announced. They're requesting a full report on the effectiveness of the Phantom Protocol in actual combat conditions. Maya nodded. Tell them it worked perfectly, but also tell them to start working on the next innovation. We've shown the galaxy that humanity can defend itself. Now we need to show them we can do it consistently. The Hyperion resumed its patrol, its crew both proud and sobered by their victory. They had won without taking a single life, using ingenuity instead of brute force. But they had also crossed a line. The Arxer hegemony would never again underestimate human capabilities. As Maya filed her report that evening, she included a personal note. Today we demonstrated that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to think differently. The galaxy expects us to play by their rules of power and dominance. Instead, we're writing new rules. The question isn't whether the old powers will accept this change, but how long they can resist it. The stars streamed past the Hyperion's windows, each one a potential battlefield or a potential ally. The game had changed, and humanity had just shown they knew how to play it. Alliance of necessity. Ambassador Yuki Tanaka walked through the crystalline corridors of the Solari Diplomatic Center, her footsteps echoing off the translucent walls. The space station, constructed entirely of living crystal, reflected the advanced civilization that had built it. After the Hyperion incident, this secret meeting could change the course of galactic history. The others have arrived, her eye assistant, HIRO, whispered through her neural link. The Solari, the Verdant Collective, and representatives from the Nexus Rim worlds. Yuki nodded slightly. Together, these civilizations represented nearly a third of the galaxy's economic power, though significantly less of its military might. That imbalance was precisely why they were here. The conference room was a marvel of alien architecture, its walls shifting colors in response to the emotional states of its occupants. Currently, they swirled with patterns of deep blue and green, anxiety and hope. Ambassador Lyra of the Solari greeted her first, the crystalline being's form refracting light in complex patterns. Ambassador Tanaka, your arrival completes our gathering. Around the room, representatives from a dozen species watched her carefully. The plant-like verdant, their photosynthetic bodies swaying gently. The energy-based Nexus beings, contained within their environmental suits. Each had suffered under Arxer dominance in their own way. Let us speak plainly, began High Minister Zaril of the Verdant Collective, his leaf-like appendages rustling. The Hyperion's victory has proven what we long suspected. The Arxer can be challenged. Successfully. More than that. Added Coordinator Pulse from the Nexus Rim, their energy form flickering with excitement. It proved they can be challenged without resorting to their methods of brute force and destruction. Yuki took her seat at the circular table. Earth doesn't seek to replace one form of dominance with another. We believe in a galaxy where strength comes from cooperation, not subjugation. Pretty words, rumbled Ambassador Katal of the Rift Clans, his massive reptilian form leaning forward. But words don't stop plasma cannons. What exactly are you proposing? Yuki activated a holographic display in the center of the table, a defensive alliance, not just military cooperation, but technological and cultural exchange. Humanity's quantum field technology was just the beginning. We believe that by combining our various species' knowledge and perspectives, we can develop protections that make aggressive warfare obsolete. The room erupted in overlapping discussions as each representative consulted with their governments through quantum links. Yuki waited patiently, knowing this moment had been carefully prepared for months. Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with curious light patterns. The Arxer maintained power through technological superiority. You suggest we could match them through collaboration. Better, Yuki smiled. We can surpass them. The Hyperion didn't win through superior firepower. It won through innovation, combining quantum physics with tactical thinking in ways they never considered. Because they never had to, Pulse observed. For a millennium, their way worked. They never needed to think differently. Exactly. Yuki stood, gesturing to her display. Each of our species has developed unique technologies and perspectives. The Solaris crystal computing, the Verdant's biological engineering, the Nexus Rim's energy manipulation. Imagine what we could create together. The Arxer will see this alliance as a threat, Katal warned. They will attack. They're already attacking, Zaril countered, his leaves darkening with emotion. They just call it peacekeeping or maintaining stability. At least together, we stand a chance. Yuki expanded her display, showing a strategic map of the galaxy. We're not proposing war. We're proposing change. A new framework for galactic civilization based on mutual defense and shared progress. And if they attack anyway, Kull pressed. Then we show them what diverse species working together can achieve. Yuki replied firmly. Humanity brings more than just technology to this alliance. We bring a different way of thinking. Throughout our history, our greatest achievements came from combining different perspectives to solve problems. Ambassador Lyra's form sparkled with decision patterns. The Solari Confederation votes to join this alliance. Our quantum researchers are eager to work with humans. Together, we might unlock secrets neither of us could discover alone. One by one, the other representatives signaled their agreement. Even Kittle, after a long moment of consideration, nodded his massive head. The Rift clans stand with Earth. It's time someone showed the Arxer that evolution favors adaptation, not just strength. As the representatives began discussing specific terms, Yuki felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a defensive pact, It was the beginning of a fundamental shift in how species interacted. For too long, the galaxy had operated on the principle that power came from the ability to destroy. Humanity was introducing a new idea. True power came from the ability to create, to innovate, to combine different perspectives into something greater than the sum of its parts. Initial drafts of the Alliance Charter are being transmitted to all parties, HIRO announced in her mind. Preliminary response analyses suggest an 89% chance of ratification by all member species within the next standard week. Yuki watched the representatives talking animatedly among themselves, already sharing ideas and possibilities. The room's crystalline walls now pulsed with bright yellows and whites, hope and excitement. "Send a message to Earth Command," she subvocalized to HIRO. "Tell them Phase 3 is proceeding ahead of schedule. The galaxy is ready for change." They just needed someone to show them it was possible. As the meeting continued, ships of the newly allied species began moving into predetermined positions throughout their territories. Not aggressively, but deliberately. The message to the Arxur hegemony would be clear. The era of unchallenged dominance was over. The future belonged to those willing to work together, to think differently, to evolve. The galaxy was about to discover what humanity had known for millennia, that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't destruction or dominance, but the endless possibilities that arose when different minds came together to create something new. Operation Starburst. Admiral Rachel Santos stood in the Combined Fleet's command center aboard the Solari Fortress Station Diamond Dawn, watching as hundreds of ships from 6 different species moved into formation. The massive holographic display showed vessels of all shapes and sizes. The sleek human warships, crystalline Solari vessels that seemed to grow rather than be built, the organic ships of the Verdant Collective that looked more like space-dwelling creatures than conventional craft. "Final status report," she ordered, her voice carrying to all fleet commanders through quantum-linked translators. "Human battle group ready," reported Captain Mayaputil from the Hyperion. "Quantum shields at full power, Phantom protocol primed." "Solari Crystal Fleet in position," came Ambassador Lyra's harmonious tones. "Our living ships have synchronized their quantum matrices." One by one, the other commanders reported in. The Verdant's biological vessels, capable of adapting their forms mid-battle. The Nexus Rim's energy ships, barely visible to conventional sensors. The Rift Clan's massive dreadnoughts, built to match the Arxur at their own game. "The Arxur fleet has crossed the Deneb threshold," announced Araya, the command center's eye. 87 capital ships detected. They're moving to secure the quantum lane junctions. Rachel nodded grimly. The Arxur had finally made their move, attempting to cut off the vital trade routes that connected the newly allied species. It was exactly what Earth's strategic AI had predicted, and exactly what they had prepared for. "All ships, execute Operation Starburst," Rachel commanded. "Remember your training. Today we show the galaxy what unity really means." The Allied fleet began to move, but not as the Arxur expected. Instead of meeting the hegemony's forces head-on, the different species ships began an intricate dance of coordination that had taken months to perfect. Human vessels activated their Phantom protocol, seeming to flicker and fade from normal space. But instead of using it defensively, they created quantum wake patterns that the Solari crystal ships amplified and redirected. The Verdant vessels extended massive organic tendrils of energy-absorbing material through these quantum corridors. "Arxur fleet is responding," Araya reported. "They're launching their new anti-quantum weaponry." The space between the fleets lit up with exotic energies as the Arxur deployed technology they had developed specifically to counter human quantum shields. But they hadn't counted on what those shields could do when combined with other species' capabilities. "Now," Rachel ordered. The Nexus Rim ships, previously hidden in the quantum wake of their allies, suddenly pulsed with brilliant energy. The Arxur's anti-quantum beams were caught in the Verdant's energy-absorbing tendrils, channeled through the Solari's crystal matrices, and reflected back through human quantum fields, multiplied 100-fold. Multiple Arxer ships reporting drive failures, Araya announced. Their quantum countermeasures are backfiring. Rachel allowed herself a small smile. Phase 2. Show them what else we've learned from each other. The Rift Clan dreadnoughts moved forward, their massive forms now covered in a hybrid of technologies: human quantum fields, Solari crystal armor, Verdant adaptive coatings, and Nexus energy modulators. They were living proof of what cooperation could achieve. Arxer command ship is broadcasting, Araya reported. Admiral Kovacs is demanding our surrender. Put him through, Rachel ordered. The holographic image of the Arxer admiral appeared, his scales dark with rage. This absurd coalition cannot last, Kovacs snarled. Different species cannot truly work together. It defies natural law. Rachel gestured at the battle unfolding around them. Look around, Admiral. We're not just working together. We're revolutionizing what's possible. Every species brings unique strengths. Together, we're not just stronger. We're something entirely new. Impossible, Kovacs roared. We are the hegemony. We have dominated space for 1,000 years. And that's exactly why you'll lose, Rachel replied calmly. You stopped evolving. You stopped adapting. You thought dominance was the end goal, when it's really just a dead end. On the tactical display, more Arxer ships were falling into the Allied fleet's trap. The combined technologies were doing more than defeating the enemy. They were completely rewriting the rules of space combat. Final warning, Admiral, Rachel announced. Withdraw your forces and recognize the sovereignty of the Allied systems, or we'll be forced to demonstrate just how far behind you've fallen. Kovacs's response was to order his remaining ships to charge the Allied lines. It was exactly what Rachel had expected and prepared for. All ships, execute final harmony, she commanded. The Allied fleet moved as one, each species' technology complementing the others in ways the Arxer had never imagined possible. Human quantum fields created paths through spacetime that Solari crystals shaped and stabilized. Verdant organic tech adapted and enhanced these pathways, while Nexus energy manipulation expanded them. The Rift Clan vessels provided the raw power to turn it all into something unprecedented. The space around the Arxer fleet literally folded, caught in a web of combined quantum, crystal, organic, and energy matrices. Their mighty ships, the terror of the galaxy for a millennium, found themselves unable to move, shoot, or even communicate. All Arxer vessels have been contained, Araya reported. No casualties on either side. The quantum crystal matrix will hold them for as long as necessary. Rachel opened a channel to all ships, Allied and Arxer alike. This is Admiral Santos. The battle is over. To the Arxer ships, you will be released once your leaders agree to recognize the Allied systems and withdraw from our territories. To our Allied forces, well done. Today we've proven that the future belongs not to those who dominate, but to those who cooperate. As the cleanup began, Rachel received messages from Earth Command and the other Allied governments. The Arxer hegemony's aura of invincibility was shattered. More importantly, the Allied species had proven that their differences were not weaknesses, but strengths. Send word to Ambassador Tanaka, Rachel ordered. Tell her she was right. The galaxy wasn't waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the hegemony. It was waiting for someone wise enough to show there was another way. The stars shone steadily as the Allied fleet began escort operations for the captured Arxer vessels. Humanity had not only helped change the balance of power in the galaxy, they had changed how power itself was defined. It was no longer about who could destroy the most, but about who could create the most amazing possibilities together. New dawn. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different now. Where once the Arxer hegemony's representatives had dominated the highest tiers, now delegates from dozens of species sat as equals. High Chancellor Sarah Chen, formerly Commander Chen, stood at the central podium, still adjusting to her new role as the first human to lead the council. The motion before us today, she announced, her voice carrying to all corners of the vast chamber, is the ratification of the Galactic Cooperation Treaty. This will formally establish the framework for technological and cultural exchange between all member species. Looking around the chamber, Sarah could hardly believe how much had changed in the years since Operation Starburst. The Arxer hegemony, after their decisive defeat, had finally accepted reality. They now sat in the middle tiers, their once mighty empire transformed into just one of many equal members of the galactic community. Ambassador Kittul of the Rift clans rose to speak, his massive form commanding attention. A year ago, I doubted this day would come. I believed, as many did, that different species could never truly work together. He gestured to the hybrid technology now powering the council chamber itself, a combination of human quantum fields, solar crystals, and contributions from a dozen other species. I have never been happier to be proven wrong. The numbers speak for themselves, added Coordinator Pulse of the Nexus Rim, their energy form pulsing with enthusiasm. Since the formation of the Allied systems, technological advancement has accelerated by 300%. Trade volume is up 500%. And perhaps most importantly, interspecies conflict is down by 89%. Sarah nodded, remembering the long path that had led to this moment. We're not just sharing technology, she said. We're sharing perspectives, ideas, ways of thinking. Each species brings something unique to our community. The holographic displays showed the latest collaborative projects. Massive space habitats that combined verdant biological engineering with solar crystal architecture. New medical treatments that used human quantum field manipulation alongside Nexus energy healing. Faster-than-light drives that incorporated principles from a dozen different species sciences. Let us be clear about what we're voting on today. Sarah continued. This treaty isn't just about technology or trade. It's about choosing what kind of galaxy we want to be. For too long, we operated under the assumption that power came from the ability to dominate others. We now know that true power comes from the ability to work together, to combine our strengths, to see our differences as advantages rather than threats. Admiral Maya Patel, now Earth's military representative, stood to address the chamber. The Hyperion Project serves as proof of this philosophy. What began as a human warship has evolved into a joint research vessel, carrying scientists from 30 different species. They're not just studying space. They're studying each other, learning how different perspectives can reveal new truths about the universe. And what of defense? Asked a former Arxer Colony World's representative. How do we maintain peace without the hegemony's iron fist? Ambassador Lyra's crystalline form sparkled as she rose. Through cooperation, not coercion. The combined defense fleet isn't controlled by any one species. It represents all of us, protecting trade routes and responding to natural disasters. Its power comes from combining our technologies, not from threatening others. We haven't eliminated conflict, Sarah acknowledged. But we've changed how we handle it. The new Galactic Mediation Corps, with representatives from all member species, has successfully resolved dozens of disputes that once might have led to war. The voting began, each species' representatives inputting their decisions into the quantum-linked system. Sarah watched the numbers climb, remembering that day in this same chamber when humanity had first challenged the old order. They hadn't sought to conquer or dominate. They had simply offered a different way. The final vote stands at 189 in favor, 3 abstentions, 0 against, announced the Council's eye. The Galactic Cooperation Treaty has been ratified. The chamber erupted in celebration, representatives from dozens of species congratulating each other. Sarah saw former enemies sharing ideas, traditional rivals discussing joint projects. The galaxy hadn't just achieved peace, it had discovered something better. Later, in her office aboard the Council station, Sarah stood at the same window where she had once watched alien ships with suspicion. Now she saw vessels of all shapes and sizes moving together in harmony, their different designs a testament to the diversity they now celebrated. Message from Earth Command, her AI assistant announced. They're asking for your assessment of the galaxy's future stability. Sarah smiled. thinking of all she had seen. "Tell them the truth," she replied. "The galaxy isn't just stable, it's thriving. We've created something unprecedented. A civilization that grows stronger through diversity, that solves problems by combining perspectives, that sees difference as an advantage rather than a threat." She paused, watching a group of ships practicing new joint maneuvers, human, Solari, verdant, and others, moving in perfect coordination. "We didn't change the galaxy by being the strongest. We changed it by showing that true strength comes from working together. And that's a lesson that will outlast any empire." The stars shone brightly beyond her window, seeming to twinkle with new possibility. Humanity had not only found its place among the stars, it had helped create a new kind of galactic civilization, one worthy of all its members. The future was no longer about dominance and submission, but about cooperation and creation. And it was only the beginning.